surprisingly. It's done the job. This is solid as a rock. Well, welcome back to TJM, and we're up the coast again, and we're with my $400 S Type. And we didn't have much time to look at it last weekend, but we're back again. And before I spend any money or repair any of the necessary items on it, I really want to know what's going on with this front suspension, because I don't want to start putting good money into bad. If it's those lower control arm bushes, the big ones, it's a fairly expensive repair, and I just don't want to spend the money on that. So if that was the case, this thing probably would be going to the wreckers. But I've just jacked it up and just loosened off that sway bar, taking the pressure off that linkage there, and that is one of the problems for sure. They're moving and loose and making hell of a noise. That's good. So the lower control arm bushes, they're hard to tell, but they look okay. Even the upper wishbone, they're not new. That is, there's no movement that I can feel in those, and I've loosened off, taken the pressure off that spring, and there's still no movement in it. Brakes, pads are about 50%. So I'll maybe just do the hydraulic fluid change on that. And she's been leaking a bit of oil under there, but mate, that's 20 odd years worth of built up grease. I can't say that's real bad at all. It's still got its skid pan underneath there, so that's a plus. So what I'm going to do is disconnect the sway bar completely on both sides, and just see if there's, then take it for a test drive, and we'll know whether it's any more rattles in it or not, and we can eliminate that one. That's pretty good. And the only other thing really annoying I think I want to attack is this gear shift lever that gets locked in park when it's put in there. It might be only a brake switch that needs fixing. I haven't even had to be able to check that yet because there's no battery in the car. So if not, we'll take this little cover off and see if we can either disconnect it or repair it somehow. No flies on this car. You can see where they've been though. Well, one sway bar linkage off. They're still tight, even though the rubbers are shot on them. I've ordered a new pair for the front and a new pair for the back. They cost half the money that I paid for this car. So we'll take this sway bar linkage off on this side. Okay, both sway bar linkages are now off. We'll put the wheel back on, and I've just tied the sway bar up just so it doesn't rattle on the lower wishbone, and we'll just see if there's any more rattles in there. While I had the wheel off, I pulled that inner skirt off and just fixed up all the little brackets there. Now she's nice and tight and sitting in its correct spot. Still might have to find a reflector. I can find them online, but they're like really expensive. It'd be nice to get a second-hand one somewhere, but we'll work on that. Okay, we'll take this thing around the block, see if we can see if we've got any rattles. Start up, baby. Boot open. we still got rattles. So I've got more things worn down there than we predicted, which I sort of guessed. Gearbox is good on this thing. Well, I should have looked at it before. I found out 99.9% of my rattles. Upper shocky rubbers completely gone to God. Wow. I've seen the older ones do that. Older cars do that. But that one's not as bad. Okay. That's an easy fix too. Well, it looks like it ends up being not the sway bar bushes or linkages. All it was the upper shocky rubbers. Now they come in a shock absorber mount. You just don't buy the rubber, and they're around about $200 each, which means the same amount I paid for the car. So I've temporarily just put a rubber in there up the top, just a neoprene shocky rubber, and surprisingly it's done the job. It's solid as a rock. Oh, so simple. I mean, it's only temporary. But now we can actually hear ourselves in this car. It's a pretty bumpy road where we are, but it's feeling really solid. One job temporarily fixed. Okay, next job, let's just see if we can get some of these Christmas lights off the dash. Jaguar the S Type. I found it. Yes. Read fault. Pump motor circuit failure. Well, that's a worry. Fault code is not found. Number 2. Communication bus fault. What else we got? Okay, let's go back to ABS. Clear all faults. Yep. If our climate control's got any faults. Ambient air temp sensor. Solar radiation sensor short to ground. Clear them. Okay. Need faults. Battery voltage out of range. Well, I think that's fixed. Fuel pump primary circuit failure. That was probably because of. Now let's get out of there and clear all faults. So we'll just do a generic check on the engine. Read faults. No fault codes in engine bay. That doesn't mean there hasn't got some. Okay, we've cleared all those ABS faults. Let's see if all those Christmas lights come back on again. We'll fire it up. Well, that's a start. They're all off. How long will they stay off? Well, that's great news. None of those fault lights came back on, except for the boot open one, which is just probably a bad connection somewhere. So that's a real plus, actually. I keep putting that into park. I've got to fix that bit down there. It's really quite annoying. Well, I really want to try and unlock this code of this radio. On the later models, I know you can just have to press forward, PTY and memory, but there's no memory on this one. Maybe menu, forward menu, forward that menu. Yeah, can't let that one out. Well, sadly this battery is completely terminal. It's been on overnight and it's not even looked like charging, which is a shame really, because they're not cheap. So I've just temporarily put my garage battery in there for the moment. At least it fits, it's doing the job till we get a new one. Well, I spent less than a day on this thing. And what have we done? We've tightened up the suspension. We've got rid of all those suspension knocks and rattles. We've got rid of all the warning lights and issues on the dashboard. So she's running all right there. And what we've done is turned a 400 bucker into a really, really usable daily driver. A cheap daily driver. She's got a bit of fading on it, and that's not going to get any better, but if we keep the polish up to it, it's just going to add to its patina a little bit. So anyway, next week we will give it a full detail. We'll see if we can get that headlining tidied up a little bit, do those seats, fix a few other things, and get it looking a little bit more schmicker. But anyway, we've saved this car from the wreckers. It was destined for the wreckers. So if you like this video, just give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, you know what to do. Just press that handsome bloke down there somewhere and he'll look after you. So we'll catch you next episode next week, guys. Thanks for watching.